Good morning, everyone. I hope you're doing great. If you remember, the last topic that we just touched and we didn't go thoroughly inside it was unit testing. And that is one of the most essential. If you want to go to any company and start not with the entry level, but intermediate, this is going to be your bridge to get to that position. So unit testing is not a trivial for loop, if then else condition kind of thing. That is why it is very much essential to go step by step and make sure we know everything like the back of our hand. The problem of unit testing is we do not have just only one way. If you go there and check, you see that there are tons of ways for doing so. At least there are 8 to 10 different libraries that you can just use. And when you want to start the project, there are 10 different ways. We are going to work with 2 major out of 3 major approaches. So one classical, one more recent, but the most advanced one, we are not going to work on it. It's not that much different. To the interest of time, we are going to work on these 2. So all of you already have the content. I want you please go to the course, go a little bit up before those calculators. You see that I have provided something, this gentleman. After that, we have 2 videos. They are the same. One is on the Telegram. The other one is on the YouTube already uploaded. Please watch quickly. 6 minutes. You can fast forward to see what is happening. Apart from that, there are some files that I have provided for you. Please download them too. And I can do something to ease the job. So let's have these 3 for now. The second file, 25B. That's what we are going to work on. So quickly watch that. That's 6 minutes. Okay, can I have your attention quickly? Look at this one. Let's follow it together. You see here we have one simple program. Then in this place, I right click and add a project. And that project is MS testing. Among all the people have chosen different libraries yesterday, so it took quite good amount of time to correct those issues. You see here it is MS testing. And then after that, we are going to copy, well, the names must be similar. And the reason that I'm saying that is if there is any issue, we can easily correct each other's problem. So please just follow the same naming. It's not necessary when we feel comfortable, but for now, at the beginning, let's just use similar names. What I want you to do is everybody pay attention to this one before I right click here in the Explorer, and then there is one option that says open folder in the File Explorer. If you go a little bit higher, you are gonna see there is one thing that is mentioned, source. As you can see, I have already renamed my resources to 1, 2, 3. So this is why I just renamed this one to resource 4, 2. Why? Because I created a project. I created a project before with this name, and I don't want to receive that error that, hey, you already have that project. Does that make sense? So why I'm saying that, because if you want to repeat this process later at home and review, you know where to go, what to change, and start all over again. It's like brand new installation. So now you have this file 25, and you see it's on top here. It says that basic math, right? So just know this is the first name that we are gonna use. Everybody, let's do it like an army together. Here, I'm going to say create a new project. Please do not go any further after clicking this. If everybody finished that part, please give me a thumbs. I'm sorry. Done. Thank you. I was just shocked. Who's talking first in the class? Okay. Done. Look at the next part, please. Control C. Here I choose console application and then say next. And this is super important to use basic math. Okay, use basic math and make sure that it is basic math. I'm gonna just, it is that important. Okay, you have the, and then look at the next, just press next and make sure it is 6 or higher. and then create. So in that case, the namespace that you see should be similar to this one. Class program, go through it from class program all the way to the end, Control C, Control V. If you see something similar to mine, please confirm it, give me a thumbs up. Thank you. Merci. Andy. Yeah. Okay. Look at this one. I quickly go through this. It's a program class. We don't do that much. We just say this is just to try unit test. And in the basic math, what are the things we have Festus here? We have a class called what? Basic maths. This one has S at the end. That is why I emphasize that make sure that your namespace is basic math without S at the end. And look what we have. It's add, subtract, divide, and multiply. Does that make sense? And here, when we say add, we get two numbers. We return the sum. For subtract, divide, we deduct. And then for divide, we use num1 divided by num2. But look at this one. Intentionally, I made a mistake. Please do not fix it. This one should return num1 multiply num2, while you see that it is num1 plus num2. Okay. The next thing, again, like an army, please make sure that you are right-clicking, not here, not anywhere, but on this purple solution explorer in this solution basic math. And then add new project. And among them all, guys, because I already have it, you can see MS test is there, but type MS test and nothing else. The very first thing that you're going to have would show up there, right? Sorry? You don't need, just type MS test on top. Garv, can I have your attention? Please just remind, I just want to remind me not issue any recommendation letter for you. Thank you. Okay, MS test. You see that here the first one is this one, and then we say next. Wait here, please. Make sure that the name that you're going to choose is going to be test project for basic math. Just choose that one and replace it. And there's a reason for that. And then we say next. And then we say create. Okay. Remember, whenever you see it says test class on top and test methods, This is the classical approach. If we see setup and test, it is the second level unit test. And if it is fact, that is the X unit test. That's the advanced version of it. Does that make sense? Okay, wait here. Get back to the file that I have shared and started with namespace, copy from test class all the way to down. But let's go, guys, let's just, to the interest of time, go a little bit down. It's a bit better version I have provided. So go from test, the next one. I mentioned a newer version of the above code. From the test all the way down before the challenge, copy that. You did it? Awesome. Please get back to this and overwrite. Some people, I saw that they have two namespaces. That is not correct. You should have just one namespace on top. If you see that you have those squiggly lines, if you see that you have those squiggly lines and you have that error, that's good. Everybody has that error? Awesome. Now, one of the things is that we have to do is, what is the namespace of the other project? If we click on that, tell me. It is basic math, right? So go to the top all the way and say using and basic math and semicolon. And now you have one more problem, right? Everybody? Awesome. Look at here, right click on the test project here. Say add project reference. There is a gizmo over there. Click on that. Basic math means connect these two together. And if you say okay, ta-da, there will be no issue, hopefully. Yeah? Pardon? No. You have the recorded video, sir. You can watch the video. So,
Solution explorer. Thank you.
you can go to view and say Solution Explorer. Look, guys, you are going to have to help each other. But exactly because of saying, Reza, can you repeat that part? I have recorded 6-minute video. And not only I uploaded that in YouTube, you have it in Telegram as well. So feel free to choose any of them. Look, can I have everybody's attention? Almost in the class, after half an hour, still yesterday we had problem. I think that 90% shouldn't have any problem, right? One of the thing is have that using basic maths on top. The other thing is two secrets. You right click here, you say add reference, project reference. In some others, you can see just reference. Click there and just that. You should have no problem. And now it's the time for you. Everybody, please pay attention here. Guys, now it is time to pay attention. Look at what we have in this classical test. You see it mentioned test class. That's the general thing. And then we have test method. We say test add method, test subtract method, and then divide and also multiply method. There is one thing you might say, Reza, I don't have this thingy here. I don't have either. Okay. The thing is, you can simply go to test, and the second last one is Test Explorer. Click on that, and if it is like mine, it is somewhere floating, right? The easy thing is you can go to view, guys, look at the steps, view, and then say Server Explorer. So you're going to have Server Explorer somewhere in the left, like docked in the left. And then if you say test explorer, and it is floating somewhere, it is going to, you can just dock it, bring it to this side. It takes a few seconds, but you can play around and you can find how to attach it to the left side. Whenever you can see something similar to my page, please give me another signal. Lovely. Okay. Done. I want you to read the whole slides later, but look, we have MS test and unit test, X unit test, and we are going to cover today these two. The next thing that I want to emphasize is a workflow that we have. In all the tests, we have 3 steps. Everybody? One is the arrange, the other one is the act, and the last one is assert. Let's see how we can implement here. Look, now I'm going to arrange and say, I want to create one object based on the math class that I showed you a few seconds ago, based on that class that we have. We have add, subtract, divide, and multiply, correct? Forgive me for having D with small. I'm gonna fix that later. But anyway, here, imagine that the easiest is the first one. I create one object, call it BM, basic math. And then I say, hey, keep the result of that object that adds 2 numbers, like 10 and 10. What do you expect to have there? Awesome, 20. So then you are going to say, hey, can you confirm what you get from the class, object of that class, is equal to what you manually calculate and get? Is it correct? Yes? Question for you guys. What the heck is that? Why should we bother? You already have calculator, and the whole idea is just doing everything automatically, not manually, right? Jordan, right? The idea is you are calculating manually once because you are going to use this application 1 million times in your program, right? You just want to make sure what you manually confirm using Excel, pen and paper is absolutely fine. Then you can just be assured of the application. That's the whole intention of that. Look at the way that we run. If you look at here, there is one run all test. You click on that, and surprisingly enough, it gives all errors. But do not panic. If you expand all this, you see out of 4 tests that we have written, one of them could not pass, and that is why it shows error here. Does that make sense? Because look at this one, guys. If you have 10 and 10, what do you expect to have? 100. But what is the program result for this one? Yeah, 20. So if I get back there, it is going to show, oh, Reza, you couldn't pass that, right? Doesn't make sense. And now I'm going to fix it and say multiply, and I get back and run them all. Is it possible just to run one module? For example, yes, you can simply right click and say, I just want to run that. And look, the others are going to be grayed out. And you can just specifically run one test. Everything is fine. Okay, just make sure that everybody, your neighbors, can do the same. Go through the items. Okay, everybody could understand? Awesome. How about this? Guys, whenever you see in a program, that's the challenge part that you see. Whenever you see that there is in the test part, whenever you see that there is a test class and test method, what do you think of the thing that you have to choose? MS test. Guys, whenever you have test class and you have test method, you're going to go the same approach. I very much recommend that if you're already done, close, open a brand new. Let's just make sure, yes, I know we have other approaches as well, but let's just open a brand new project. Say, create a new project and please choose console application. And then say next. And then here, everybody please choose the same name, and that is banking system. Banking system. And then say next. And then create. And it should be something like this. Copy from the public class all the way to the end of public account, public class account, and paste it like this. It should give you something as you see on my screen. Take your time. Whenever you are done, give me a signal, please. Done. Awesome. Okay. The next part, now you should know it better than me. we go a little bit down, we see that the namespace for the test is what? Banking test project. Copy that. I'm talking about this. Banking test project. What are we gonna do? As you know better than me, we are going to, guys, not here, just on solution banking system, right click and say add new project. I repeat it. Right click on the solution banking system and then add and then new project. And look here, MS test again. I know because you have chosen already, you have it on the left side. So you can simply go there, but I choose this one. Listen, in the project's name, choose banking test project, please. Next, create. Take your time. Make sure that you see something similar to mine. Everything is fine. Awesome. Okay. Look at this one. From the test class all the way to the end of this, copy them. And if everything is fine, you should be successfully receiving these errors. Yeah? Okay. What is the name of other namespace? Lovely. So banking system. Please type on top of there using banking system. I think that I have forgotten one more step. Can anybody? Lovely. I'm gonna right click here, guys, here, banking test project. I right click there. And then I'm going to say add project reference and then check that one and say okay. And there should be no sign of any squiggle line, right? Everybody? Awesome. Okay, how about this? Now we have time, team, yeah, because I'm gonna walk around and see if anybody has any issue. Okay. Before we get any further, what I want you to do is think about the program. I'm gonna save everything. Think about the program that we have. We start from where? We start from class. Lovely. We have a class, name account. Guys, what is the most important thing that we have in any banking system? Balance, right? So we have a balance. What is this one? It's a property that we have getter, but we have a private setter. Private setter can be managed by what? Either constructor or one method inside. right? So we have a constructor here, and as we could guess, you're gonna pass balance parameter to balance. And then we have deposit. And for the deposit, what we do is whatever you have in your balance, add that amount into deposit. Is it okay for everybody? Lovely. And what about the withdraw? Guys, you never go to a bank saying that, hey, can you please give me minus 100? What the heck is that, right? So either you want to deposit or you want to get. The money should be what? The money that you ask should be positive. So if it is less than or even equal to zero, I don't think that anybody takes the teller's time for saying, hey, give me nothing. So that is why it should say amount cannot be negative, right? Give me a second. This, my nephew, sorry, told me that, uncle, check this, but please don't pick on my spelling and grammar errors. I was like, okay, don't worry. And I checked all of them. So okay, just only fix that one, fix that one. So can you see cannot anywhere? Control F, sorry. Let's say just can, please. Yes, can. I have to think about this issue. Anyway, I'm gonna fix it. But what is the other problem that we have? Here, if the amount that you want to withdraw, like you have 1,000 in your balance, but you want to withdraw 2,000, is it possible? It should say insufficient funds for you, right? That is, guys, look at this one. That is the exception that you raised. Here we have one exception. Here we have another exception. We want to see if the exceptions that we raise are correctly set or not. Do you know what I'm saying? So we raise issues, but it's not just any exception. We want to make sure that we are gonna throw this exception, insufficient fund, when there is no sufficient fund. And we didn't make any mistake. Look at the last one here, that is post public override string to string, and whenever you want to show the balance. Now we go to the main program. Here I defined one account, 500. I'm gonna say, show me the account. Post is going to get triggered. Guys, you see that connecting all the dots? And then we say, how about amount 120? And then you say you want to withdraw that amount. And guys, is it going to accept it? Yes or no? Definitely. So it's going to accept it. And if you say deposit, sorry, if you want to deposit, it's what is the amount right now? 640. And then now if it is 200, look, if you say I want to withdraw, we have 620. It is acceptable. But if you just want to test it later, you're just gonna add one extra zero. So it's gonna be 2,000. It should get to the exception, right? And it's going to tell you could not withdraw this amount, right? Could not withdraw this amount. And the reason for that is the exception that you raise. Another time, try negative 200. And then you're gonna see the remainder at the end, okay? Play around with this, explain the code to your neighbors, or if there's any concern, and then we are gonna go to the unit test in no time.
Remind me not to give any address.
So the thing is, if you see in the unit test, I want you to pay attention to the first constant that I have provided. We say that threshold is 0.000001. What does it mean? Guys, whenever you do some calculations, there is a chance that we have rounding problem. I don't think if you even sell oil barrels in gigantic scale, this amount would make any change. So that is why we say if that change happens, if in rounding, I don't mind. You know what I'm saying? So that amount of difference between what you expect, do you remember that I said this is what we expect, this is what it is calculated? If the difference is something tiny teeny like that, forget it. Huh? Look at this. Here we say for the test constructor, we are going to write test for everything. We say the test constructor, initial balance is 500. We make it into two portions. The first part, it says that that's the arrange part, right? We just say the initial, but the act is creating based on the things that you have arranged. We create a new account based on that initial value. And then you want to see if the account is created or not, yes or no. Does that make sense? So you say, hey, check is not null, the account that you have. If there is any problem, you're going to say could not instantiate account class. That is the error message that you're going to receive if the test could not pass. Does that make sense? Look at the next one. Test property works. Guys, what are you going to check? You have the expected amount that you're going to create one account based on that. So initial value into your balance. And then you're going to say, hey, that expected with the actual thing that I have in the, guys, this has come from where? The object that you created. Go and fetch the balance and place it into actual. Is the actual out of the function that we have in the class? Is out of the property that we have in the class? Is equal with the things that I generated? Yes. If yes, then 5 to go. Considering that, hey, it is possible to have 0.000001 difference. Don't pick on that difference. And that is the balance, that is the error message. How about deposit okay? Here we say initial is 500, amount is 100, and then we say the expected is adding these two numbers, right, Lamia? Then we are going to say, how about creating one account using this initial? This is 500. And then you're going to say, what is the balance? Put it into actual, right? The question, is the expected and actual are equal with the same thing? If yes, 5 to go, right? The same applies. I'm not going to take your time for this one. This is for the time that the initial is 500 and you want to deduct 600, which is not going to give you permission. But the thing is, it says that try withdraw. And what is the exception that you expect to have, guys? Aha. We are not, do you remember intentionally here? We had two different exceptions. One was insufficient, and the other one, it should be positive. It's not, it cannot be negative, right? So now how can we test all those? Very simple. You can just say simply that, or you can go to test, say run all. It's now grayed out because it's already under the process. And please expand. You can easily expand and collapse the tests, and you can change the test. You can right click and test individually and so on. Play around with it a couple of seconds with your neighbors. Done. Look at this one. At the end of this, I have mentioned that you need to go to the project solution and then add banking system. And also you need to add this one, guys. I mentioned that first, I'm sorry. Right click on the test and then add project reference and then go through all this. And then I mentioned that using banking system on top of the unit test, so you can find it. This is something that I showed you several times. And don't worry if for any reason you forget, you have the recorded session. I'm telling you, this is something that might easily slip from our mind. So the last one that I want you to do is, again, please, and I intentionally want you to practice that. Go there, right click on the Solution Explorer and say open folder in the File Explorer. When you are there, close the application and then go to source, rename repos to repos, for instance, whatever the number that, for instance, for me it is 0.505. So let's just change this one to 0.4. Okay, everybody done? The good thing is if you create another banking system, it's not gonna pick on you that, hey, you have already banking system, right? Look at this one. Everybody, please open a Microsoft Visual Studio. Say create new project, please. The namespace for this one is what? Awesome. So Control C. Use console application. Say next. Say bank. And then next. And then create. Takes a few seconds. It should be something like that. Whenever you could finish. Yeah, everybody? Done? Awesome. Please, inside the namespace, inside there, copy everything from the top to bottom. Yep. And I made one mistake. I want to fix that too. Let's have this class program inside it too. Please do not have it outside the namespace. It should be within. It works, but it should be. Okay. Look at this one, please. Guys, what do you see here? Do you see test program like what we saw it in a few seconds ago? We don't have that. We have setup. And we have test. We don't have test method. So we have setup and test. We have a serious issue, right? Another file that I have already provided for you is this one, the last one. If you left behind for any reason, please open that Word document. And I said unit testing. Look, this time we are going to choose N unit testing. Make sure that this one, if you don't have that, if you type N unit, guys, you see we have tons of options here. Please choose N unit test project. So I right click here, I say add new project, and then N unit test project. Done. N unit test project. Click on that and then say next. The name that we want to have. The name that we want to have is bank unit tests. So bank unit tests, and then say next, create, and you should be able to see something similar to what I see here, right? If you get back to the Word document that I have provided for you, I mentioned in every step what we need to type. And if you go down, you see here, it says that in the program, you should have this one. And in the unit tests, you should have this code. So you can just take it from here, or I always prefer to work with this. So namespace, I don't take any risk. Right after that, Control C, Control V, and you should have all these pairs. So tell me, what is the namespace that I have here? So I need to say what? Using just bank. Yes, we changed that. Bank, and then, I'm sorry, bank. And then the other thing that we have to do, please somebody help me. Right click here and then say add, and then project reference. And then if I click on that and say okay, everything will be fine, right? Lovely. So what I want you to do, please spend a few seconds. Where should we start? For sure, not the test. First, we need to know what the program is. I just wanted to make sure that everybody could see that. So we start from the class bank account, go through it, see what is happening there. And after that, go to the unit test and see what are the tests we have. Okay. Let's just quickly review. Can I have your attention, please? We have a bank account, and as always, definitely we need to have a balance. Is it, guys, is it a field or property? Okay, we have a field here. We have a default constructor. We have a constructor. That is not the best to use it this way, guys, because of what? I'm not here to criticize. You see that the source of this code is someone who was kind to just share with us, but the gentleman doesn't know one basic things, that whenever you get this one here, where should you pass this? To field or to property? Definitely to property, not to field. So why you define a property and you don't use it? What is that? Anyway, so we are going to have add. We are going to have add. And what is going to happen for the add? We are going to get an amount, and we check here for add, it shouldn't be negative number 2. If it is negative, let's just throw an exception, and that is argument out of range exception, and then name of amount. Does that make sense? How about this? If everything is fine, just add that amount to the balance that you have. What about the withdraw? For withdraw, we need to check two things. One, it shouldn't be negative. We use exactly the same thing. Surprisingly enough, if the amount that you want to withdraw is more than what you have in your account, while on what should happen? It should say, just 2 seconds, Daydream. Reza, give me a break. Okay, then it should just say argument out of range exception. Awesome. There's another thing. Guys, most of the time you have several accounts in your bank accounts, like you have saving, you have checking, and so on, and you want to transfer between. So in the transfer, you're going to say, let's create another other account, and you have double amount. And what's going to happen? If the other account exists, it's not null, right? If it is null, then say that, hey, I don't have any account, so throw an exception. Otherwise, guys, all the time, you have 1,000 here, and you have 0 here. You want to bring 200 to this one. So this one should withdraw 200. This one should deposit 200. Does that make sense? So two things should happen at the same time. Withdraw from the source and add deposit into destination. Does that make sense? Now it's the time to go to the program. In the program, actually, surprisingly enough, we did nothing. But we want to check it. Guys, many a time you are responsible in the positions that you're going to get. You are responsible to do this part of the project, and you don't have a chance to check it in the main program. You know what I'm saying? You need to test it. So then you're going to go to the test unit and see what is happening here. Here we say, let's create an imaginary account, right? So private bank account, we are going to create based on the class that we have. Which class? Hey, Reza, you said using bank and you connected to there, right? So you want to create one account, one object. Now I have that account. And then you are going to, you remember we had two thingies. We say in the setup, new bank account 1,000 and place it into this. We didn't use constructor in here. We use the constructor here. Does that make sense? Listen, now I created one account. In the setup, I placed a value inside it, and now we are ready to test all those things. I say, what if I add 500? What should happen? Is 500 equal to what you get from account that balance after adding? Yeah. So that is one of the tests. Is it going to check cool or not? Look at the next one. What about withdrawing? If you say, guys, you are going to get used to this gizmo that is going to be open, close parentheses, and then tilde. You want to say, hey, if I say account dot add minus 500, it should throw this exception. Can you confirm that it is going to throw exactly this exception? Look at this one, this throw, and look at this throw that we have provided. Account out of range exception. Again, account out of range exception. Does that make sense? The whole idea is, if that case happens, it does what I expect. I do the same thing later for one negative fund for withdraw. This is for adding negative. This is for withdrawing. But in the middle, let's just check withdrawing funds updates balance. If you have 1,000 in your account and you say withdraw 500, what should you expect to have? 500. Is it equal to the current balance? There is something that you might say, Reza, you added, for instance, here, you added 500 there. Remember, this is just test. It's like I'm talking to man, imagine that you are giving me $500 and I have 500. So how much I'm gonna have? 1,000. I'm not gonna say goodbye and go. This is just example, right? I should give back the money to man. You know what I'm saying? Every test is not gonna update. It's just gonna say, what if we do that? That's kind of scenario. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay, what if we throw more than what we want to withdraw more than what we have? We should just get the exception. I'm not going to repeat myself because, but for this one, the transfer in a good scenario, if you have other bank account, look at here, I say var, I could say bank account, other account equal to new bank account, and I say I want to transfer to other account 500. Guys, is it going to work? If I say account.balance is 500, it should be fine. And the other balance should be 500 as well, right? I had 1,000, 0. I put, you got it, right? But what if I forget to create other bank account? It should give me that exception, right? If I want to transfer to other, which is null, then this one should trigger. I'm going to run all this and it's going to show me 7 nice, neat past checks. You can just expand. And as I told you before, you can just simply change all those things. But Reza, it was rush. I didn't grab what you said. You have all the right to say so. So the thing starts from here. Our journey starts from here. Look.
This video is going to show you how to create unit tests in C# using Delegates. So let's get started.
Okay, I quickly go through.
What we have methods. For me,
Sorry.
to create the unit test project itself. So let's go add a new project. For me, it shows up in my recent project templates, but if it doesn't show up, you can just type unit in here, and you can choose unit core or units in the .NET Core or .NET Framework. I'm going to choose .NET Core because this suits me better, but you can also do it in .NET Framework if you need to. The code will be exactly the same.
Guys, do you see how? And then
yes, the bank account.
I'm sorry, this part having that.
This, and now let's go quickly and see in the bank accounts what actually are we going to test. Let's start out by testing the add methods. So we have the add method that takes in any amounts and it will update the balance. So what we can do is test it by adding whatever amount and then checking if the balance actually updated. So I'm going to name my methods accordingly, adding friends, as this would make sense, and this is actually most likely or is. So what?
Arrange, act, and assert.
Next step.
I'm not gonna take your time. Just I wanted to. Okay, you have the YouTube video. It is 19 minutes. Our time is very much precious today, and we need to use it as best as we can. But guys, everybody could do the steps that we have gone through. And if you think that you got it, you got the concept above 70%, and you know what is happening, please just give me a signal. Raise your hand. Okay, tap on your shoulder. This is one of the, okay. In this course, the toughest part to get the result, which we almost see everybody could get, is this unit testing. This is the toughest among the semester to have the result. And honestly, why I never uploaded that 6-minute video before, because I was like, people are gonna have trouble. So let's just have a shortcut for it. And the other thing, let me confess, guys, if you think that it's like a TED Talk, Reza comes here, everything works fine, come on, I'm a human being. I was working on that, and let me tell you what are the problems could happen. After a while that you don't work with unit testing, hey, I'm not in a developing department that I need to use this every day. After 2-3 months, they change the version and they're not compatible. They don't work. And guess what? I set up everything and I received error because I used different library. There were before something like .NET Core. It did not exist. And a few days ago, I had the dental appointment. I just tried everything. I was like, I have to go, I have to go, I have to go. What should I do? What should I do? And then I went there. Meanwhile, that I was waiting to get to my turn, I checked and I found the solution that what it didn't work before because the version changed, something new happened, and I searched that. And guess after finishing the Java then and the history, when I got home, I didn't even rinse my mouth. First, I tested and I got the answer. I was like, yes. And then I recorded. Well, I rinsed my mouth and then I recorded that to say, okay, it's gonna work for everybody. And the reason that I told you this story is one thing, guys. You're gonna be very soon in this seat, no doubt. Whether you're gonna help your team members or you're going to teach some talents like yourself. If imagine that you get to a class and you just look error and people look at you, what are you gonna feel? Hey, that person could be very much knowledgeable that receives error and start Googling in front of you. And that person who has no error could be illiterate like me who has limited knowledge. It's not an index. But imagine that you go to a doctor and that doctor asks you the symptoms and start Googling in front of you. What are you going to think? Whether we want it or not, you're going to lose our trust. So always be prepared wherever you go. Okay. So by saying that, if you check the time, it is now exactly 9:45, my plan. So let's have 5 minutes break. And after that, we are going to continue sharp 9:50. Thank you.
Yes. Take Java class semester.
Unfortunately, no. Yeah. Well, I would love to, but you know, it's really the schedule that they keep.
Yeah. So do you have any section you could recommend?
The best is you go to LinkedIn and see how that project. Because there are some websites they are listed. And word of mouth. One of the others. I'm gonna get back to you because we have 5 minutes. How about that? You're gonna call. No worries. Anderson and Jake. Anderson. Very serious. I very much like the problem of if you can find anything with Anderson, that would be awesome. Anderson, yeah. No worries.
I'm doing the same.
Okay, so let's just start as we promised. If you look at the next topic, it's more of a review for us rather than a new thing. So I'm going to just let's just do it one at a time then. Sorry, guess, yeah, I didn't want to show the messages. That's the problem.
You don't need this door, right?
Need this door?
To open. The yellow light is reflecting.
No, no. Thank you. You don't need, that's the, you don't need this door. Okay, so look at this one. Generics. Technically, what we mostly talk today about generics is intensifying the things that you have already worked on. So nothing is new. Guys, you all remember generics, right? That's angular brackets. I want you to open the file generics. I have already the TXT copied that for you. The beautiful thing is some of these websites, even if you grab nothing in the lecture, they are that much nice in explanation. Let's just quickly go through it together. Generic means the general form, not a specific. In C#, generic means not a specific to a particular data type. Isn't it beautiful to start that like that? So C# allows you to define generic classes, interfaces, abstract classes, fields, methods, static methods, properties, events, delegates, you name it, using the type parameter and without the specific data type. A type parameter, a type T, is a placeholder for a particular type specified when creating an instance of the generic type. And then you can just see, even you can have a class, a whole class type generic, and then you're going to use that T in anything that you want to define within, whether it is method, properties, fields, and so on. The good thing is at the end of this particular part, we are going to define a class with generics. The other thing that we can see this is check it at your convenience from Microsoft, but as always, we can enjoy excellent presentation by
Buddy, it's Bro. Hope you're doing well. And in this video, I'm going to explain generics in C#. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. If you wouldn't mind, please like, comment, and subscribe. One like equals one prayer for the YouTube algorithm. Generics. All right, let's get started. Generics. Anything that's generic is not specific to any particular data type. We can make something generic by adding a set of angle brackets, that T. We can make classes generic, methods, fields, whatever we want. This allows for greater code reusability for different data types. Let's say that we have 3 different types of arrays, an array of integers, doubles, and strings. Let's create those. Int array, I'll call this int array, equals, I don't know, 1, 2, 3. The elements really aren't important. The data type is. Okay, then let's say we have an array of doubles. I will name this double array. And the elements are 1.0, 2.0, and 3.0. Then let's say that we have an array of strings. String array equals 1, 2, and 3. Okay, what if I would like to display the elements of each of these arrays? So we can use a method for that. Let's begin with a method to accept an array of integers. So let's add that here. Public, static, void, we're not returning anything. And let's say that this method is named display elements. So there is one parameter. If we're displaying an array of integers, well, that will be our parameter. int array, and let's call this array. And then we'll need a for loop or for each loop to iterate over the elements of this array. Let's use a for each loop. For each int item in array, then we will write, preferably not write line, item, then maybe I'll add a space. Okay, let's call the display elements method that we just created and then pass in our int array as an argument. And let's see what happens. Okay, we have the numbers 1, 2, 3. So what if we attempt to pass in our double array? Display elements, then we will pass in our array of doubles. So we actually can't use this method for doubles. We can only use this for integers. Cannot convert from double to int. If I would like to display my array of doubles, well, I would need a completely different method that accepts an array of doubles as an argument. So I'm going to copy this current method that we have, change int to double, and change int to double here as well. And then we can call this version of our display elements method. And this will do the same thing.
Guys, what do we call this when we use overriding or overloading? Lovely. Override is just when we have virtual, right? Just good.
Make one change. I'm just going to add a right line to these. So basically, we have two methods that do the exact same thing. However, they accept a different data type as an argument. Let's add one more method for strings. Public static void display elements. The parameter is an array of strings for each string item in array. And then I can use the string version of display elements, but pass in our string array. So we have each of our 3 different types of arrays all displayed. So this is a lot of work. We have 3 methods that do basically the same thing. However, they accept different arguments. So what if we had one method that could accept basically any data type? Well, that's where generics come in. So let's take these first 2 methods and delete them. We will no longer need them. We're going to turn this method into a generic method. So after the method name, add a set of angle brackets, then add t. So really, you can put anything you want between these angle brackets. I like to say thing because I think it's funny. We're going to accept a thing as an argument. So we need to change that here as well. So change any instance of a data type to t or thing if you're using thing. Okay, so change string to thing. We're accepting an array of things for each thing item in an array. So now we have one method that accepts all data types. We can reuse this one method for an array of integers, doubles, and strings. Yeah, and it appears to work. So that's where generics are helpful. Anything that's generic is not specific to a particular data type. We can add angle brackets, t, or really anything within these angle brackets, just make sure that it's consistent. So we can add this to classes, methods, fields, etc. And this allows for greater code reusability for different data types. So instead of 3 different methods that all accept different data types, we have one that accepts basically all data types.
Okay, if you please go to the file that I've already shared with you, there is a code. It's exactly what the gentleman already explained. What you can do, you don't need to open a new project. Simply, you can right click here and delete that module of the test. And then just paste this code and see if it works. If you need, explain it to your neighbors quickly. Okay. Guys, everything is clear. We just quickly, you see that we have different forms of arrays. It could be array of integers, doubles, strings, and so on. You don't want to define different methods, right? That they do technically the same job. The next thing that you see is this gentleman. I very much, and if you see, I said to watch in the class, later you can refer to these as something that I thought they are essential. Not a bad idea to watch all of them, but if you have.
Sharp.net, we are going to find another wonderful topic called generic classes. And so far, whatever classes we have covered has some class members of specific data type. But by the time we design the class, we have to mention the data types of each and every member inside, whether it's a variable or constant or any method having some return type and parameters. But in generic, we actually got privilege to pass the data types at the run times, means by the time you are instantiating that particular class. That will give you an added advantage of customizing the data type at runtime as per your requirement. So let's find how can we create a generic class in our C#.NET. Now here in this example, what I'll do is I will create a class, and to make it of generic type, what I'll do, I'll pass the angular bracket inside which I can pass the number of type parameters. Like here, I pass two, like T1 and T2. So by the time you will instantiate this class, you will have to pass like what is T1 and T2 with a particular valid data type. And for now, as a structure, I can use these T1, T2 data types in my properties, data members, method signatures, anywhere. All right, so here, as I said, I have taken a property, my property of T1 type. Let's create one method as well, public void method. First parameter is of T1 type. Let's name it P1. And second one of T2 type, let's say P2. All right. So now you can define things like that. And by the time you will instantiate this class, my class, you will pass a couple of data types. Let's say in T1, I say int, and in T2, I'll pass string. String. All right. Now let's instantiate this with the name obj1. And with the obj1, whenever you will use this my property, you will notice now it is of integer type as we have passed int in the T1. So let's pass any integer. And similarly, when you will call the method, first parameter will be of type integer and second one.
Okay. By saying that, let's go to the next thing that we have. It's just from slide number 4. I'm not going to take your time for that. It just want to tell, look at this. It wants to say, what if we have 3 integer values like A, B, and C wants to add those 2 values together? I use my gen from the class gen if we created something based on that, or if it is static. Then we say dot add A comma B. Does that make sense? Look at this one. Here, add defines to add 2 integer values, while the same name wants to add 2 long, and the last one wants to add 2 double. Is it possible to have 2 strings? Yes. But the problem is we use overloading while we can just use generics. For this specific one, it's a little bit tricky, but it is doable. You're gonna just work on it at your convenience. But the thing is, generic is a kind of freedom that we didn't have before in programming. Before that, if you wanted to bring something from one type to another, it was not that easy. I repeat it, before, if you wanted to work with one type, but the method that you wanted, for instance, to operate on that was not compatible, we had a kind of tough time. Look at this one, and that gentleman is just awesome. Whatever he explains it amazingly.
About boxing and unboxing. Now, this is a pretty easy concept to understand, but people mess it up in interviews because they don't really understand what it's actually used for. Object-oriented languages need to handle instances in a type-agnostic manner. This is what's known as polymorphism. But the problem is that we have two distinct types, value types and reference types. So for a moment, let's stop thinking in terms of types and let's start thinking in terms of species. The value species lives on the stack, and that's integer, bool, float. The reference species lives on the heap, and that's object, and string. So how do we maintain polymorphism when we have two different species, two different types? Well, it's simple. Let's take one of those types and put it in a box and pretend it's the other species. So forget about instance strings for a moment and think about fish and chicken. Fish and chicken are two different species, kind of like two different types. The fish species lives in the ocean and the chicken species lives on land. But what if we have to transport the fish with the chicken? Well, we could just put the fish in a water-filled box and then we put it on a truck with the chicken. Essentially, the ocean-based fish can ride in the truck just like a land-based chicken because we boxed the integer species into an object species. When we get to our destination, we can unbox the fish and put it back in the ocean or convert the object back to an integer. So why do you even need to do this? Well, back in the early days of .NET 1.0, you didn't have list of type T. You had array list. That was pretty much it. So array list wasn't strongly typed. So you could do all sorts of crazy stuff.
Look at the things that the gentleman said quickly. It was not a strongly typed. Means that everything was object, right? Everything was the most general object, okay? So means that fish, it's not a string, it's object. This one, object, this one, object, this one, all of them. So what if you want to really say, no, you know what? This 2.5, I want the numeric behavior of that, not the object. Let's see.
Integer, here's a string, here's an empty string, here's a boolean, here's a float, here's a null. Now these value types had to be boxed before they were put on the array list. And then they were unboxed when they came back off the array list and you performed operations on them. I'm going to show you how to do that manually. So let's pretend we're in .NET 1.1. I'm going to create a chicken here. Here's my string chicken. And I'm going to create a fish. Here's my integer fish. I'm going to create a truck. I'm going to add the chicken to the truck. I'm going to add the fish to the truck. When the fish is added to the truck, it's going to be boxed. So let's see it in operation. Now I set up a breakpoint on the truck here so we can actually watch what's happening. So I'm going to step through. I'm going to add the chicken to the truck. As you can see right here, after we add the chicken, we have a string chicken in this array location. Now let's add the fish. And as you can see right here, there's an integer in this array location. So far, so good. Now let's say somebody says, hey, can you add a second fish to that same box? Let's add one to the fish that's in. So this seems pretty straightforward. We're going to take that array location and we're going to add one to it. Oh wait, can't. Why can't we do that? Plus operator cannot be applied to operands of type object in int. This is very important. Remember, we've boxed this thing. This thing is no longer an integer. It's now an object. So how do we get around this? Well, we can unbox it temporarily, casting it to an integer, and the message goes away. So boxing is taking that value species and converting it into a reference species temporarily. Unboxing is taking that reference species that you converted before and converting it back into value species. Practice this concept in the mirror or with a webcam until you have it cold. Good. So boxing can unbox it temporarily,
Okay, look at this one. Whenever you say put something inside the array list, automatically you're gonna box it into object. Box object. Okay. And always remember box and object, they both have O. Whenever you take it out from the object is unboxing, right? Listen to this part. That is why that we don't use array list. The performance is dismal. Now we have list angular brackets, okay? So if you see that in a project they use array list, either the developer or the project is legacy. Avoid both. Go to the next part. We are going to have this first example. Then we are going to say, hey, what about having some number equal to 500? And then I'm gonna convert it, guys. What do we call this part? We convert it to object. It is, yes, it is boxing. And then when you want to bring it back, you're gonna do unboxing, right? So then see the result, please copy and paste. See everything works. Yep. Everything is fine. Yeah. The next example, copy and paste it, please. You see we have a method called display. Always remember, if it was just any display, you shouldn't have angular bracket T. And you know that you can use things, you can use U, V, whatever. And then we say we have two arguments. One of them is what? String. The other, we don't know. It's just T. It could be anything. And then we are going to just, regardless of the type of the second, we are going to just show them hand in hand, right? Hello, 5, hello, world, or something. But for the first one, when you want to pass 5 and say hello 5, you're going to use int. For the second one, you're going to use string because you want to pass word. Okay. Everybody, this, Control V, explain this to your neighbors. Done, everybody? Yep. Okay, look at this one, guys. It is not possible for computer to do this. Man, please come here. That is one. That's why you need to have a man in general, this man in particular. So say, please take that temporarily. Then this one, does that make sense? Thank you very much. Look at this. Here we say we are going to have A and B. It could be any type. Put A inside temp, then B inside A, and from temp bring it back to B. Does that make sense? But because I said ref means that I'm not going to bring the copy of them, right? I'm going to refer to the address, original values. That is why when you pass x equal to 4, when you pass 4 to the location of x and 8 to the location of y, when you swap them, technically after that, it's going to swap in the original position as well. Does that make sense? So that's why when you run it, it actually shows. If you run after this at your convenience, try it without having ref keyword. You're gonna see after swapping still X shows 4, Y shows 8. Right? Okay. So let's go to the next one. And here we use a method which is going to bring an array of type T, right? What is going to happen here? We say, hey, any type that I tell you, for instance, integer, string, character, and if I say the size, first, create an array, call it result or whatever, with that type and with the size that I passed. For instance, here, if I say B, character B, and 8, it is character, create an array of character that has 8 Bs, right? It's funny. And yes, we are going to pass that value to every single element of that array. Guys, look at the next one. The next one is a little bit confusing. We say make array string, right? And we say Reza 3 times. So we are going to create an array of strings that has, but do I really need to have anything like this? I just wanted to tell you on the fly without placing that into an array of strings, you can on the fly just use it. Does that make sense? That is why if you go down, for those who are like Reza, might get a little bit confused. I just defined it this way too. I said, let's have an array of strings, call names, and create 3 Rezas into those arrays. Does that make sense? Okay, so please run this and remember why I emphasized, and you're gonna see in final as well, why I emphasized using string.join. Because a developer who knows how to work with this is a developer. So be prepared for seeing that again in final. Lamia, explain it to me. Okay. Done. Let's go to the next example together. This is, well, this is upside down. I said, what if I don't want to have an array called bees and then pass it like that. I just convert this, use it as a challenge without looking at that. Please try to have this one. Yeah, try to have this one as a part in here. It's not a big deal, just try it. Okay, awesome. Thank you. If you have any struggle, you can see the answer. So I explained that too, but let's go to slide number 18. Please copy and paste. Do you remember that at the beginning of this chapter, this generics, I told you that we are going to create a class which is going to be generics, right? So look at here. Here we have a class called generic class T. It could be any name, right? And then we are going to say, hey, we are going to have a property from the same type T. And then we are gonna say, get the value, whatever the value is, and place it into value. Guys, this is just a toy example. That is why we said, let's create an integer object. You're going to have object, but what are we going to pass to T? Integer. And then we're gonna say, hey, the value that I'm gonna pass to you is 1, 2, 3. And simply, you can just say value is object dot value, which is 1, 2, 3, an integer. Is it possible that without creating something like this on the fly, you just pass something? Yes, it is possible. Just using new means, guys, what is the meaning of new? Assign a memory, occupy that part of memory for me. Occupy the memory. And the other thing is, because we use in our constructor, look at here in the constructor that we have, we pass something from the same type. We say that, hey, string pass hello to that value. Does that make sense? We pass it there, and then we have an object, so you can simply use it that way. What is the problem of having new without having name for it? What if you want to access that thingy again, right? Guys, having a label, having the name for any location of the memory gives you the return address, right? Whenever you want to do something. Guys, it's not the problem of saving account. It's the problem is when you want to get the money back, right? Okay, so let's go to the next example together. This is actually the last, which contains two generics. Let's just copy and paste. Here we have a class that contains K and V. We have two properties here. We call the first one key and the second one value. And then we define the first object. We say they are string to string. We say doc and word. For the second one, we say doc X and word, XLS, X and Excel. And we want to say files ending with this object.key is what will be opened with object.value. Does that make sense? And then, guys, you don't need to have this part again, you just need to have the second part because you want to allocate the concept that you have into a new location of the memory. You know what I'm saying? Hey, I have an object, but I want to allocate it. I have that concept, I want to allocate it to a new location. Just go through this, run this, and explain what you learned from it to your friend.
Because it's possible we only like new generic class being string, and if we don't give a value to object, but then when we have to access it, we can apply.
Without, which one are you talking about?
This is possible. Yes. We find.
Yes, it is possible. How you have access it, right? Yes.
Not possible to have that like anyway and a single array.
Not in array. Not in array. In array list, yes. In array list, yes. Good. Or you can use var as the general things, right?
That's me.
Yes, but actually it's like the maximum possible size for anything. That's not efficient, but you can define that way. No worries. Okay. Guys, if you're done with that, let's go to the next topic, and that is nothing but delegates. It's a very delicate topic. Look, before anything else, you see that must work on in the lecture. And there is one nice example. I do not say that do not go through the rest, but these two are the most important ones. So that is funny. Yesterday we had similar situations. 60% of people are like this. So more coffee for this class. Guys, delegates. Let's find a volunteer. Manav, can you see this? Why me, Reza? So can you see? Yes. You can read awesome, so please.
What if we want to pass a function a parameter? How does C# handle the callback function or even handler? The answer is delegate.
Just wait a second. Look at the thing. We never used. Guys, can you pay attention to this one? In any function or method till this very moment, Jordan, we just passed whether simple values like integers, strings, and so on, or in the worst kind of cases, we used objects, right? When I say worst, means that the most complex form. But it says that this time, what if you want to pass another method as a parameter? Is it possible? You see, what if you want to pass a function as a parameter? We never had that. And how does C# can just manage such a scenario? This is the problem. So it says that the delegate is a reference type, and by saying reference type, it's opposite of what? Value type that we have. And
that defines the method signature. So, we know that if we want to have a delegate, it has something to do with some methods, one or more methods, and the signature of them should be the same. What does it mean when we say signature? Means the return value should be the same. The parameters, the number of parameters and type of parameters should be the same as well. Does that make sense, everybody? So you can define variables of delegates just like other data type that can refer to any method with the same signature as the delegate. That's what I said. But there are three phases you don't see all the time. One is saying declare delegate. We see that. Create an instance and reference a method. Definitely delegate should be related to a method. Imagine that, guys, some of our team members, they have two phones, one for their business, one for personal, right? Those people are rich. So imagine that you have two phones, both of them are Samsung S. Who said iPhone? Okay, so both of them are Samsung Galaxy S23. Sorry? Ultra, okay, 23. And then, guys, unfortunately, you spent all your money to get those two phones and you have just money to get one cover. So what you do is, whenever you want to go out with your work phone, you're gonna take the cover out, place it there, and then bring your phone, work phone. And then when you want to have home phone, you're gonna peel that and then put it. You got that? So two Galaxy phones are methods that cover is delegate. Where's the water? Why long is like, where's the water you're talking about? I promise in a few minutes you're gonna see that. But look at this one. Here we have delegate, return type. So far it is like simple methods. And then the delegate name, like method name, and then the parameters that you have. It is very much like methods. The only thing that we have different is having a delegate words, right? Okay. Enough of theory. Let's go to, I think that this is okay, bro. I'm not sure, but let's see. No.
We have seen that a function or a method can have one or more parameters of different data types. But what if you want to pass a function itself as a parameter? How does C# handle callback functions or event handlers? And the answer is delegates. A delegate is a type-safe function pointer. One good way of understanding delegates is by thinking of a delegate as something that gives a name to a method signature. A delegate can be seen as a placeholder for one or more than one method. To declare a delegate, we use the delegate keyword. Let us go to Visual Studio and see how we can create a delegate. Here inside the namespace block, to create a delegate, we need to use the delegate keyword. So for that, we write in here public delegate. And next, we need to define the signature of the methods that this delegate can point to. So let us write in here void. So the return type of the method is going to be void. Let us name this delegate string delegate. And then the methods will have a string parameter.
this one here, string text. Let us go inside the program class and inside here create two methods which have the same signature as our delegate. So I'll write here static void to uppercase. As a parameter, I will pass a string, so string text, and this method will simply console.writeLine the text dot to upper. Let us create another method with the same signature. So the name of the method is going to be to lowercase, and then change the to upper to low. Now let us see how we can reference these two methods by using the same delegate. So I'll just write here string delegate is equal to the two uppercase method. So this means that by using this delegate, I have now created a reference to the two uppercase method. So if I want to invoke this delegate, I can either write string delegate and then provide a text parameter. So this is lowercase, or I can write string delegate dot invoke and then provide this is another lowercase string. If we press Ctrl F5, we see that this is the result from the first execution, and this is from the second one. So from the invoke. If you want to change the ref,
So you see that both of them works, whether you say string delegate or you say string delegate dot invoke. Most of the time, people don't use invoke because it is more like a method, right?
second function, then we can do the same, or we can just write here string delegate is equal to lowercase. Let us test it. So string delegate dot invoke, and then this is uppercase. Control F5. We are going to see that the string that we passed as a parameter is now in lowercase. So this is how you can use a delegate to point to different functions. And we said that it's important that the signature of the delegate, so void, and as a parameter we have the string text, is the same for all the methods. If I change, for example, the string to be an integer, then this delegate will not work for the two uppercase methods. And the error that we get, it says that no overload for the two uppercase matches the delegate string delegate. And we see here that the void to uppercase should have as a parameter a string type. So let us change the integer back to be a string. So this is how we can create pointers to different methods using the delegate. But most importantly, we said that we can use a delegate to pass a function as a parameter or another function. Let us create a function now that takes as a parameter the delegate. So here let us write static void, write output, the name of the function, and then as a parameter we pass a string text and the delegate. So let's write in here, string delegate is the second parameter which we name string delegate. Inside curly brackets, now we need to define what we want to do with this string and with the string delegate. So let's go in here, console and write line before, and then inside curly brackets, define the text to be shown. Next, let us use the string delegate to show the result after we point to a certain function and we pass as a parameter the text. Let us remove all these lines of code and then write in here output, then pass as a parameter this is a lowercase string, and the second parameter is going to be the string delegate that we defined in line 12. If we press Ctrl F5, here we see that the before state of the string is the lowercase string, and now we have the transform string because we passed as a parameter the delegate, and this delegate is now pointing to the two uppercase function.
Okay, the thing is, if you get something like 20–30% of it, that is fine. I'm gonna fix the rest. So don't worry. The idea is just till this moment, I want to think about those two phones and the cover. With that in mind, let's go to the examples. based on what we have here. So everybody, please go to, I'm sorry. Go to example 1. And then copy and paste it. Do you remember that I said there is one website and we started reading from it? The examples that you see, I have borrowed them from here. Okay? So I repeat it. This is the website that I have borrowed, and you see the example is mentioned there. Look, here I say, let's have a class called my class, right? And then we have a delegate. What is that delegate? Guys, this delegate, my delegate, has the same signature as we have in here. One quick question. Is this place for defining a delegate is the best, yes or no? What is the thing? What is the depends? Okay, I bring it outside and still it works. What if you have two different classes and two different methods in two separate classes? You want this delegate be a cover for these two methods that are in two separate classes. If you bring the delegate inside one, it cannot access the other one, technically. Huh? Okay. Look at this. Here I say, define a, I intentionally placed it there, and you're gonna see we have some good examples that the delegate is in. Look, I defined one, Do you see, it looks like something familiar. At the beginning of the semester, I said everything in C# is either class or object. It looks like which one? Yeah, but not a proper way. Where is the new? Where is the, you know what I'm saying? So we need to have the name of a class that we have, my delegate del, and then we need to have new something. What we say here is we want to have a delegate that covers this specific method, and that method just receive something and show it. And if you say del hello world, it's going to just show you that. And if you say del is equal to my class dot method a, again, it is going to do the same thing, but technically locating to another location of the memory, guys. You remember in a few minutes ago, we had those two. And this is the most interesting one. What if a delegate, guys, the delegate that we have is not going to return any value, but it receives a string. What we have here, we get a string, whatever it is. And then we are going to say what? Console writes line called lambda expression and pass that message. Does that make sense? What if I say hello world 3 here? It's going to say called lambda expression and hello world 3, right? Because that's the message that you passed to this delegate. Let's run them and see how it works. It's obvious, right? Especially the last one is a little bit confusing. Just spend a few seconds, guys. It is nothing. We are going to have a function, guys. Delegate is a cover, right? Delegate is a cover. Imagine that one of those no-name phones on the market. You don't have any name. You don't know if it is Nokia or whatever. But the cover that you have works fine with it. The thing is, that phone has one input and it returns nothing but displays something. It's exactly like this one. The only difference between this method and the one that we have on top is this guy has a name, the other one doesn't have any. Doesn't make sense? It does exactly the same thing. So we say, hey, you know what? This del, we don't say it's equal to name of the things. We say it is equal to the functionality of a method. Okay. Spend just a few seconds with your neighbors, especially the last one, explain it.
It's like it points to a method.
Sorry. It binds to a
It's
method.
no function.
Mhm.
It points to another function, right?
I know, yeah. We are gonna talk about it in no time. Don't worry. Okay. Can I have your attention, please? If you are done with that, let's go to the next example. And here is where I wanted to use two different classes. Look, the delegate is defined correctly outside the class, right? And we have class A, which we have one method A inside it. And is it possible to please close? Thank you. So we have class A and we have, thank you very much. And we have method A. Intentionally, I said called class A method A. And in the second one, we say called class B method B. Thank you. This time, when you say del is equal to class A method A, guys, work phone, you don't need to define the same, you don't need to define another delegate del because you already have. But this guy is going to open this one is going to address the other method, which is inside class B, method B. Does that make sense? In the previous example, both of them were the same. Now they address to two different phones, work phone, home phone. Is it clear? Look at, thank you very much. Sorry. That's a good lesson. One person is inconsiderate, passing by, talking loud, and all these troubles for our friends. Just if one person does the job, thinking about the others when they are on the bus, when they are passing, when those bicycle riders that they bike in the pedestrian crossroad and they ring, warning you that, hey, go away, I am the king of the road, while, hey, this is for pedestrians. Anyway, sorry if I talked philosophy, but it is good. Then people could just practice something. Then we don't need to immigrate to moon from here. We can just end up being in Canada. Otherwise, we have to collect and see which other place we can go that we can have a little bit of peace. Anyway, getting to this part is just a little bit more. Getting to the next part, and that is example. Guys, what is different in this example? Let me just see if I didn't miss anything. Example two. Here I said, this time I'm gonna show you a little bit better form of that. Let's just show you one thing. Actually, it took me a heck of a time to find that picture, so I want to sell it to you. Look, here, this is the first example that we went through. This is the second example that we went through, but I told you this is not fully like object-oriented. Yes, something is missing, right? And that missing thing is this one. This is object-oriented. We say new, my delegate, and we pass the method as a parameter to create. If somebody write the code like that, it's like eternal satisfaction. If you are an interviewer, you're going to pass that person. So please, everyone tries this one. And enjoy it. Okay, guys, do you see that when we say new delegate, what does it mean? Tell me. Lovely. Whenever we want memory allocation, guys, isn't it something like that? Hey, I want to have a delegate called del that is going to address this method, right? So we pass this as a form of what? As a form of parameter. The beautiful example is on the way. Everybody, this is based on the video. Let me just say. Based on the video that we watched a few seconds ago, but I think, yeah. You remember we had two uppercase to lowercase in the video? We create a string delegates. Okay, guys, sorry, Arjun, I tried not to say. Would you please just whenever you want to talk? String delegates to uppercase. Guys, what is the proper way of saying that? lovely new string delegate and then pass that as a parameter. Fix that at your end. Look, here I say string delegate and I pass that string into it. And then guys, am I allowed to just simply say string delegate and pass this? Yes. It is possible to use invoke. It is possible to directly pass that, work with this like a method. Does that make sense? And then I said, please have some asterisks because I want to assign it this time to lower. My suggestion, use new string delegate to lower. And then if you say, hey, string delegate, this time play around with it, say dot invoke, and then this one, take the invoke out and see how it works, guys. As simple as that. You see this? Everybody, please try that and don't worry, we have tons of examples down the road. In 20 minutes, we are going to have break. Yep. Sorry?
So, you know how you find the delegate at the top?
Uh-huh.
So we have to put the namespace, but not in the name of classes.
I think so, yes. I'm gonna explain that too. Okay, it's part of namespace, but not in any class. Can I have your attention, please? Look at the position that we have for delegate here. That's what Saram asked. It is possible that I can bring this guy inside here too, but it is above and beyond classes. Because there's a chance that I have several classes and I want to link this guy to different classes. Does that make sense? Good question, by the way. The next thing that we have is just, yes, sir. The delegate, we don't define delegates for data types. We define delegates to connect it to a method. If that method has integers in their signature, then awesome. You're going to just follow the threads, right? Good question. Look at this one. Here I define, again, here I define the same things that I had till this very moment, but for the first time, I use what? Write output. Do you see this? This is a method, and I pass something like a text, and then I say that I'm going to have, guys, it is like integer b, it is like the class student st, right? Exactly like that. I'm gonna say, let's have my string delegate as a parameter that I'm gonna pass to it. And that guy is responsible for what? Tell me. it is going to get that text and does whatever it needs to do with it. And it really depends on the things that you have chosen for the delegate. In this moment, I have chosen, look at the beautiful thing that's going to happen. Because I have chosen to upper, if I pass, I should try something new. It's going to change everything to upper. And now I peel the phone. This time I'm gonna say lazy Reza to lower. And guess what is gonna happen? Right? The best is to, if you want to check, Control C. And then what about this? This upper, let's just have hello, here is me. Okay. And then let's just see what's gonna happen. I mean, after this to lower. My apologies. Do you see that? Guys, look at the beautiful thing. You used two in two different lines. Exactly the same function with two different functionalities. Let us all thank delegates. It is just because of having delegates. It does exactly different behavior. Everybody spend 2 minutes and don't travel 2 minutes. Just contemplate on that. Enjoy this masterpiece. And I'm going to ask a volunteer person to explain to everybody. Are you ready? So first talk to your neighbor. Okay. Volunteer. Yes. I have a close volunteer. You want? Okay, so please.
Can I explain how I understood?
Yes, please.
Okay. In my case, first, we have to create the methods. Yeah, the methods with uppercase to transfer to upper, to lowercase to transfer to lower, and to write the output to send a message. Yeah, after that, in my main, I name the variable string delayed, and I mention to uppercase because I'm going to declare a message which is going to be with upper. Of course, this is the example. The phrase is I have to name the method, which is write output, the phrase, comma, the name of the variable. This is with upper with the also to reply the same. I don't need to call the string delegate again. I just need to call the object equal to the new method, which is to lowercase. So now I have to enter the new output, which is, hello, here is me, and it is going to be lowercase.
Awesome. Let's give it up for. And I want to see if man paid attention as well or not. Did you listen to him? I don't think so. Explain it again. You have to mark him. Okay?
First, we created a delegate named as string delegate, which takes an input as a string text. Then we create two separate methods, to uppercase and to lowercase. And we create a third method, which is write output.
Just one thing. I'm sorry. Guys, we do not produce cover for phones and then they produce phones. First, we have phones on the market, then we are going to have covers, right? First, we create two methods, then we say that we have delegates that is going to follow the, okay? So please.
Then we create a separate method known as write output. It's gonna take two things. One is the string and another is the delegate, it's a string delegate. And in the method, we assign the string parameter to our string delegate. Now in the main, we assign the string delegate, we create a string delegate, and we assign a method to it, to uppercase. So now, whenever in the write output, we provide the parameter text, and with now string delegate is gonna change it to uppercase. Now we assign to lowercase to string delegate. So whenever we want write output, hello, here is me, and we use string delegate again, now it points out to the method into lowercase. So it's gonna give us uppercase, and this one is gonna give us lowercase.
Awesome. No, it's good. I saw that Jordan said, fine. Yeah, okay. Please, you want to explain again? Awesome. Okay, guys, I think that we can get PhD in delegates. Please. Yes.
So first of all, we are defining two methods that are two uppercase,
Uh-huh.
lowercase, which are taking the parameters as a string. So both of them are taking a string to convert it to upper or to lower as per their function.
Uh-huh.
So for these methods, we are creating a string delegate, which is also taking the same type as we are defining in the method.
Lovely.
Is the string.
Mm-hmm.
And then we are creating a third method, which is write output, which takes a string and a string delegate, which we will explain in the upper part. So in the main, we have a string delegate, which first refers to this one, the uppercase method. And we are calling the write output, which takes the string. I should try something new as this part, and string delegate, which is going to upper. So it's like string, which is to upper, and text, which is to I should try something new. So
Awesome.
calling the
Hmm.
method to upper and converting it to uppercase, and same goes for the lowercase, takes in the text and the string delegate, which is referring to the lowercase, and converting the lowercase
Hmm.
delegate to the text part, which is hello, here this means.
Awesome. Bravo. Let's give it up for Rishi. Rishi, I very much like your presentation. Am I allowed to just give you a quick feedback? Okay? I think that it would be even better that whenever you explain, you just look at the audience as well. And then because we don't have any laser at the moment, not a bad idea to use, for instance, in line number 11. So if you say line number, people can follow it, but amazing. Thank you very much. So what if I want to, guys, I've forgotten. Can anybody tell me that what should I do? I should say new means this one. And then this one like this. Am I right? So this is one way. So not a bad idea to have. And let's just ask one thing, if you don't mind. Let's have console write line, and that's how I always think. This is one example, this is the second example, and the third example, what if we just use something like this, saying, I am the last example, right? And is it possible that I bring it here like that? Lovely. So you got the point, right? Let me just run this one for you. This is the most complete version of the example. And I'm going to add this one. And say, okay, by saying that, now we get to, guys, these examples that you see, they are super easy. I strongly recommend quickly just part A. They have come from the book, but let me just tell you one thing. Guys, do you see we have something like debug here? Delegate has enough story. So I don't want you to bring, I don't want to bring you to debug and delegate. A simplified version of that, instead of using debug, just use console.writeLine instead of using the log file, just show it on the string. Look at this one. What is the comment that you could have, man, on this code? I'm sure Manov is thinking about the problem. So what is the problem of this code?
The main can create a new test delegate.
It should be in the.
He's half of your age, he said correct. Awesome. So this one should be outside the, guys, everybody, correct? And look at this one. Here I say I have my first, my test, it should be my first test delegate and my second. So we imagine my first, my second, huh? And then here I just say my test delegate, right? And then I just call it. Look at the next one, please. Intentionally, I have some comments, so you can just use a better version. In this one, quickly explain what is happening here. Do I need to, if you guys want to use exactly the same object, you don't need to say test delegate, then show it again. Does that make sense? Now you have it. Let's go to the next. I don't want to waste your time to go something that you already know. This is new. I'm not gonna pay attention to which part, but this time, for the first time, you're gonna say, hey, everybody, you have one functionality in method A. You have another functionality in method B. Isn't it beautiful that you can add them together by saying this? whatever you have in your test delegate function, add this one into it. Previously, you had just my test. Now you have my second test. Look at the output. Wait a second. I kept the best for the last and just spent time in here. And guys, I addressed these with these fish bones to tell you that, hey, where to pay attention. Look at this. First, I have my test delegate. Second, I add my second. Third, I deducted my test delegate, the first one. Look at the beautiful results. First, you have my test. Second, you have my test and my second. Third, you delete my test from it, right? You have just this. That's a wow. Right? Mind blowing, right? It's like having all functionalities, pack them together, bind them together, and have just one. Look, the last thing in the series of examples is slide number, example number 5. Sometimes as simple as that. Guys, what is the functionality of my test Boolean delegate function? Tell me. Awesome. But we can use it in banking system that we learned today, a lot of examples. But for instance, if the account value, if the balance is, for instance, for any reason negative, we can just use this. Look, we say that test Boolean delegate function, we create that. And what is going to be the output of this? Man, what do you think it's going to return? Let's see. So you can use it in the conditions. What about if I say, okay, awesome. This is a complete version. And when I say complete, when you compare it with this one, I just used new, the name of the Boolean, the name of the delegate is here. Guys, just lazy resume. Just a second. Sure. Right? Nothing is different. That's the version. Yes, you were saying?
So when you use the keyword static, when finding a method, it already occupies space, right?
Whenever we say new.
So when you use static, like in a method.
True.
So when you use the delegate and you put new, that means it's also occupying space on the static.
Very good point. Let me ask you one quick question. If you say int a equal to 5, do you occupy the memory? Yes or no? Definitely. Did you use any new? So it is kind of indirect way of using new, just a shorthand, while in the back of the scene we have new. So this is just a shorthand. Technically, whether you say it or not, new is there. Just the compiler is kind to us to lower down the typing part. Definitely we need to have new, and it's going to occupy memory, whether we say it or not. Did I answer your question? Thank you. So let's go to this one, and as you see, we have just one more example. Everybody, please read this, the second last. Instead of saying instead of saying that the delegate is connected to a specific method, on the fly, we want to return a Boolean value, right? Based on a number. On the fly, we say, let's have this integer number and return the value of the number is greater than 0, whether it is true or false, right? This is kind of anonymous linking the delegate to a function which doesn't have name, no name function. Does that make sense? Actually, this is what I challenged myself. It was not part of the. Okay, so now it works like excellent without having any things. It works. And then the last one is actually what we have in the slides. It doesn't work, the one that we have in the slides. I fixed the code, so don't waste your time for this. I want you please go through this for a couple of minutes. Go through it for a couple of minutes. Make sure that you can understand everything.
Oh, how, okay, how, the name of some props in here, I didn't use, that's Narandra's. But Picasso is, Narendra is a prop, Van Gogh is artist, so combination of props and. Okay. So. Let's just quickly see what we have here. First thing first, we see that we say public delegate void senior, right? And guys, we have Narendra, Picasso, and Van Gogh, and all of them just show something on the screen, right? Console right line something. Here, I say, let's have Senior Picasso. This is the most complete version. Go to my class, Picasso. Does that make sense? And then, how about this? If we say Senior Van Gogh, this does exactly the same thing, Saram, but it just, we didn't mention new things. The Narendra is the complete version, but what about this one? This is a little bit confusing, maybe. Do remember that I told you, look at the public delegate void senior that we have. It in this one, guys, on the fly, we say we want to have a delegate that is going to do what? This is, yeah, this is something that we rarely use. We rarely see, and I do not recommend at all.
even if why I just brought it, even if I wanted to use such a thing, I used lambda to have less confusion. This is just because I brought it from the slide. I was like, okay, let's just have it. But this one is exactly like before, but at least I mentioned a lambda. And then it's the time for you to use, to say Picasso, Van Gogh, Narendra, Elia, calling all those delegates. The all that you see here is adding method 1, method 2, method 3. You remember that we did all those things, added all those methods together. So all is going to print them all. And that is why if you see, and I mentioned that after the asterisk, this is all, it's going to show you all those things like done by Picasso, done by Van Gogh, all of them are combined together. Does that make sense? Okay, guys, let me ask you one question before we go to the last 5-minute break. How do you feel about this? Do you think that 70% is achieved? Now we know what is the functionality of the delegates in general. We have methods. We want to just use one cover for different methods. Do you remember, especially the time that we passed it as one parameter of a method? You remember? We switched the delegate to another method, so it shows the same method. It shows capital letter, the same method after a second shows small letter without touching anything into that method. Okay. So, guys, another hat on your shoulder, and the reason for that is this is the most difficult topic in the current semester. If you could get 60–70%, I'm telling you, that is something that if an interviewer wants to tease you, they're gonna ask you delegates. Okay? By saying that, before we go to the break, I just want to, those friends that they didn't get what they wanted for the midterm, I'm going to tell you another thing. If you see the number of recordings that we had, it's going to be something like 12 till the end. It's going to be 12, 13. Some of them, like midterm, just we use 2 hours. Some of them, if you see the time that we watch the video, you don't need to rewatch because you already watched many of them. So out of 44 hours or something, technically it just needs something like 20 hours. Imagine that you had nothing so far in this semester and you want to pass. I'm talking about passing this course. Guys, this is the matter of passing or not passing, right? I'm going to talk to my boss, my supervisor, and say, hey, lower down the schedule for the coming week. I can't attend. And I watch those videos. I practice alongside. I go through the quizzes, exams, that's I'm not saying everything like assignments as well. We don't have that much time. I'm talking about a person who wants to pass. So the best is to watching the videos alongside with going through the quizzes, through the tests that we have, especially we know that Reza likes using join or something. Know that what are the things that, yeah, is going to be part of the quiz. And I try my best. One of the friends, Lamia, was kind enough to ask question that, can you provide some samples? 5 days before the final exam, you're gonna receive two packages. I will design two packages, two similar, not exactly. Well, you know the tendency. And the good news is if you do it properly and if you can do everything in the exam, I'm not saying if somebody received no mark for the midterm, no mark for any assignment or something is going to get A plus. No, but B plus is available. In rare cases, if you do extraordinary, what about A? Right? So now you have time, guys. You have time. You have 2 weeks. And in 2 weeks, you can revolutionary change the stage. Okay? So now it is 11:32. Let's come back at 11:37. 5 minutes. Thank you.
So suppose we making the calculator app, right? So for if we have a common method to calculate, and if we pass like two number like 5 and 5, and then we can pass a delegate, right? So
That's the
delegate we
best
can
way.
assign to any function
Huh.
only one method for every function.
That's perfect. Yes, you can just use it. And I'm gonna consider bonus market. Somebody thinks it's that. It's a very wise project.
Still have 2 minutes.
It's cold.
Yeah.
Excuse me, please, sir. I try to the student to know everything about the bike. I know that you also was with the way this the transformation of the pieces to 25%.
How about this?
Just tell me if this operation is correct. I have any pieces. I have to. Oh, yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, so, and I want to explain, okay. Jordan, I'm going to explain that exactly. Guys, there are two things. One is, well, actually lots of things. One is for the marks and grades. Those who had class with me, Jordan, they know. I'm going to provide an Excel file and a quick video, how to calculate your mark. That's one thing. There are two types of cells, the orange colors, those that you put values in, the green ones, they show. And because we had till this moment, we could have just 6 quizzes. I'm going to pick the max 4, and it is going to be 25%, right? So every quiz is going to be 6 point something. That is how I'm gonna pick the marks. Does that make sense? And you're gonna have explanation for it. The other thing is, to make sure that we can cover everything. And I decided to have the makeup session on Wednesday, and I talked to some people. In one class, some people say that they have class on Thursday, some say they have class on Wednesday. So whatever I choose, somebody could not come. Attendance is optional, but please watch the video. The good thing is you have 2 days or 3 days to the next class. So between these two, and then the assignment number 8 is GUI. We are going to start working on graphic user interface in the coming session, I mean, in the makeup session. And the whole world is going to change from black and white to colory. So you're gonna just enjoy. And the calculator is a kind of hello world in the GUI. And I'm sure that some of friends, they create that much nice calculator that they made application and they use their own calculator instead of Windows calculator. So not far, you can just simply do that. And that's pretty much it. If I needed one other point to tell you, I've forgotten. So let's go to the next topic, and that is something. And the beautiful thing about this topic is, guys, many of you already know about collections. We have used them, different sort of collections. You see these thingies, the fish bones. This one beautifully started explaining, you see, we have array list. You see, we have hash table. What is hash table? Is it possible to have repetitive items in hash table?
Okay, sorted list, stack, queue. Guys, stack is, have you ever done the dishes? Help you? Really? Good. So when you wash the first dish, you put it here, the second dish. So whenever you want to dry the dishes, you're not gonna start from the, you're gonna, so it's gonna be first in, last out, or last in, first out. Philo or LIFO. Okay. But the queue is, I'm talking about civilized societies. When there's a lineup, the first person who arrives should receive the first service, right? First in, first out, FIFO or FIFO, they say. Is it clear? So we have, the thing is, for each of these topics, we need to spend something like 2 to 4 hours. Like, I remember in the data structure, we had 2 to 4 hours for stack and queue, how to implement them, how to create linked list just took one entire session, 4 hours. But here we just use them, right? We know the structure is there, we just use them. As mechanical engineers, guys, you don't need to have just driving license. You need to know how the engine works. That is why the difference between you and those who just pass one Udemy course and they say that I'm a programmer is this. You need to know what is happening behind the scenes. So that is why we have data structure course. The next thing that I have picked in the list is because, just let me make sure that I close everything. This one has a beautiful hierarchy, and it shows that, for instance, okay, collections contain the index-based collections, key value pair collections, prioritize collections, and so on and so forth. Like priority, first in, last out, or first in, first out. The index, you can just traverse easily by saying that index 0, index 1, and so on and so forth for all of them. So the other fishbone is this one. The good thing about this, not only clearly explained, but also you have a video that you can start watching and working on samples. Okay, and the examples, for instance, that is beautiful, saying that, hey, we have 2 types of collections, generic collections, T, or non-generic, old-fashioned, right? So, hey, whenever we have generics, why should we bother having non-generics? Guys, not all the codes came to the industry yesterday. We need to have backward compatibility. We have some modules that 10, 20 years ago, somebody has written and we want to have. That is why we have all. And apart from that, this is the must watch thing that we are going to. Okay, let me stop. This one was the one that caused, do you remember that the video was down for a while? That's because of this. Hopefully they're not gonna take this one down again because of that 2 seconds. Just know, this is a video that please watch. It is super important. Let me just do one thing here. People at home, I rarely have done that. Pause the video. The thing is, all the examples that Scott is working on has come from the Microsoft web page that I have borrowed. You see, for instance, slide number 2, I have borrowed the examples from there and I worked on all of them as well. So don't worry. You're not gonna miss anything. Go through these examples, watch that video to intensify the concept. Everybody, please get to slide number 2. Again, I mentioned that I have borrowed from this video and from this. Look at it with critical glasses. What is not very much likable in this? Try to change it. Variable. And what about, am I going to say list string or what? Lovely. String, excellent. So what is this? We are going to have a list of a string that is generic, and simply you're gonna say convert it to upper, huh? Look at the result. The next example that you see here is a better version. As Man said, let's just change var to list string. And instead of saying var name, let's say string name. Does that make sense? Let's go to the next one. Guys, this one, just the only thing is having read key. You may laugh, but that's the slide. So a better version is, again, just one version ahead saying this one, and then the even a better version just correcting everything, making it like this. Let's go to slide number 7. Instead of using for each, this is the time that we start using the index, because we said 2 of them, they have index. What are they? Lists and arrays. Guys, many a time you can simply, seamlessly just change the place of arrays with lists and the other way around. The thing is, you should say that is one of the properties of the list, and that is count. Look at this one. Here, if you say for every I from 0 all the way, as long as I is less than the count, because if you have an array of 5 elements, the indices would be what? 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that's why it says that less than count, not less than or equal. And how about this? We have a list. We have a list. We just say show everybody. And after that, we say add Maria and Bill and remove Anna. Look what's going to happen. We are going to have Maria and Bill, but there's no sign of Anna because we deleted Anna. Is it fine? So everybody just practice this example. Done. Okay, look at the next example that we have. In the next example, we say, show me what I have in index number 1 after adding, removing. So, guys, what do you think is going to happen? I just add This one. Who is in location 1? Anna, right? Anna is already removed, right? So it's going to be Dennis. So let's go to the next example. Where is Bill? That's the question. We want to say, what is the index of Bill? Guys, this is the last list, 0, 1, 2, 3. So it should say 3, right? What if I say, where is Anna? Imagine that I have forgotten that I deleted Anna from the list. So what's gonna happen? -1. So -1 means that I'm searching for something that does not exist in the list, like ABC. The same thing. The good thing about C# is it always gives you -1. And one of the questions that I don't know what to answer that I receive in Python classes, Reza, why this time it shows me -8? I don't know. Okay, so because of that, we can simply play around with this saying, okay, that is the things that I ask. We can just play around with that and saying, search for instance, Bill. If it is -1, say that the item could not be found. Else, show me the index. Does that make sense? Okay, so how about that? This one that I said, slide 16 and 17, a better version. Please try this one. Okay, are you done with that? Awesome. Let's go to the next example. And that is this one list. And I said the activity asking from the user, enter the, guys, this is not anything strange. This is just a little bit like real application. In real application, you ask the user, please enter the name that you are searching for. Imagine that I have the list, so I know, but if I say I want Bill and just use one L, I'm gonna say we could not find Bill. Then if I run it again, And this time I use Bill. It's gonna say it's in index number 3. Does that make sense? And the next example that we have is using reverse. Look at it. I'm gonna say the list that I have contains these names, Roam, Jester, and Amit. And then I'm gonna add Milton, Ben, Rajval, Havan, and Saleh. If I say for every element, show me what is happening, so it's gonna be from Roa all the way to Saleh, correct? What if I say dot sort, what's gonna happen? Yes, it's going to sort alphabetically. And then remember, the sort happens in place. Means that after you say names dot sort, then the list is already sorted. What if I say, instead of sort, what if I say, names dot reverse? What's gonna happen?
Was the alphabetically sorted this?
So no. So if it is raw to Saleh, it's gonna be from Saleh to raw. Does that make sense? So now, if I say sorted but reverse, what's gonna happen? Sorting in descending order from, it's gonna be, you know, instead of A to Z, it's gonna be Z to A. Does that make sense? And please tell me true, false. If I just do it this way, it's gonna give you the same result.
So
Why?
first, this was not sorted when it reversed.
Yeah, so,
It will sort after from A to Z.
okay, so first we are going to reverse and then we are gonna sort it alphabetically. So what the heck? That's kind of extra, right? So it's gonna just sort it again from A to Z. Does that make sense, everyone? Lovely. So let's go to this one, and that is nothing but Fibonacci. Okay. What is it? We have 1 and 1, guys. The next one, yes, but for this toy example, we just go one step. If you look, we are going to have just 1, 1. That's the list for now. Look at the things that we have here. This is our list. We say whatever the list is, guys, what is the list count? 2. 2 minus 2 is going to be 0. So it's going to be this one, index is 0. What about this one, minus 1? So it's going to make it this one. It's like the cat's eye. So then we are going to say this one plus this one, right? Add this one to these two previous. We save them into two, previous 1, previous 2. And then we are going to add them to the list. So the summation would be 2. And we expect this guy is just shows 1, 1, and 2. What if we want to have 10 from 1, 1, then 2, then 3, then 5, all the way to 55, the 10th element? Exactly. We are going to say, while the Fibonacci count is, guys, this is super dope. It's awesome. You just see at the same time that you add to the list, you use that to take care of, to track the number of Fibonacci series. Let's just analyze this code together. It says that, hey, get the number from the user. Is it 10 to whatever? So create that Fibonacci list, go through that mechanism. As long as that count is less than the index that you get from the user, just keep going. Add the summation of previous two numbers to the list. And then we are going to just trace the list and print them. Look, imagine that they say 10. Okay, so let's go to the next one. It says that a better version. And guys, you know what? Well, I don't need to say. Yeah, that's just try it and enjoy it. Okay. Done. Done. Okay. So are you ready? Okay. Are you ready for the best news of today? Yes. We are gonna stop it here because that's the place that we could get yesterday. It's like, really, I see the smiles on the faces. Guys, try to hide it. So, people at home, thanks for joining. So I'm gonna just stop recording. People at home and those who watch later, have a wonderful one.